the harshness of God in the Old Covenant. That's what we're talking about today. Stay tuned as I reveal things that most people don't even look at. Thank you for landing on my channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for new content. That way you'll be notified every time I post new content every Wednesday. So many people look at the harshness of God in the Old Covenant and they think that's who the Father is without understanding the reason, which this keeps them from having their healing. Hey, I'm Tony Myers. I'm the author of 4 books on divine healing. I was recently featured on the 700 Club and have led thousands to their healing. You too can have your healing with just a change in perception. Thank you, Jesus. Let's look at the days of Noah. We look at God's wrath in the Old Covenant, and we think that God is so harsh. But one thing that's rarely talked about are the nephilim. And these were hybrids. These were part angel and part man. And they had corrupted the whole world, with the exception of Noah. So let's take a quick look at this. And this will change the way you think about God, one, sending the flood, but about his harshness. His harshness was for a reason, because man had become corrupted. And we're not talking just simply the stealing, those what we consider sin. It goes much deeper than that. So we have here in Genesis chapter 6 that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. This is what it's talking about. Man had become corrupted by the angels that disobeyed God. The lineage now was corrupted. They were no longer the men that God had made, with the exception of Noah. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Then we get to where the earth was corrupted before God, and the earth was filled with violence. His creation, which he had created to be good, was infiltrated by the sons of God, angelic spiritual beings, which corrupted the lineage. Yet, even with that, God said, I shall not always strive with man, but shall be 120 years. He gave man, even the corrupted version of man, 120 years to listen to Noah preaching pureness, etc. They refused it. So even with the corrupted beings, with the corrupted lineage, God was merciful and gave them an opportunity. Noah was the only one that heard him and his sons. Here comes the flood. And here's one thing that's debated with those that do research with the Nephilim and all, and I'll give my point of view. So then, after the flood, how did it happen that once again there were Nephilim upon the earth, such as Goliath, the Philistines, Why was God so harsh on Sodom and Gomorrah? All these questions. Let's start Numbers 13:32. And they spread a negative report about the land that they had recountered for the people of Israel by saying, the land we passed through in order to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants. All the people we saw there were giants. We saw the Nephilim, the descendants of Enoch, who was from the Nephilim. To ourselves we looked like grasshoppers by comparison. How did the Nephilim survive the flood? Okay, Noah's lineage was pure. What wasn't pure was the son's wives, the sons of Noah, who were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Their line wasn't pure. That is how the traits of the Nephilim survived. And that is how merciful the Lord is. He was not going to judge the wives, but have mercy on them. And so therefore, they survived the flood. And they carried the gene. And that is how the Nephilim survived. Now, look at this. It was the corruption, the corrupted version of man God had a problem with. That's where he dealt the harshness to. Even in harshness, he had mercy. Look at Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so we see one little thing. One, the inhabitants were more than likely Nephilim. How do we get that? We get that because what happened? The angels came to deliver a message to Lot. Lot had to hide the angels. The people that lived in that city wanted to propagate, wanted to commit atrocious things with angels. This is why I believe that God had no choice but to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And when he is saying, if we find 50 righteous, 50 of a clean line, then I will not destroy them. All throughout, with all the ites, God wanted them all destroyed because they were Nephilim. And so what we see as severe, it was because his creation had become corrupted through the fallen angels, through the angels that disobeyed him. I want y'all to give this some serious thought now. So where we see as God's harshness is really a lot of misinformation because this stuff is not talked about. And for the next few videos, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. And the book of Enoch is an excellent resource. So, with that said, this is where we can draw the line and understand why God was so harsh. All the world was corrupt. And a lot of this I discuss in my private Facebook group, Tony Myers Unlocking Divine Healing. I give exclusive teachings there. I also give away a free PDF version of Unlocking the Mystery of Divine Healing. So sign up for those. Now, if you like what you're hearing, click the subscribe button, hit that old bell, for new content every single Wednesday. That way you'll be notified. So next week we're going to talk about the courts of heaven and what that's all about. Because Satan does not equal Lucifer. I know that may shock you, so stay tuned next week for that.